The TT Circuit Assen, probably the most important circuit still on the MotoGP calendar. Why? Well, because it's been here ever since the beginning of championship motorcycle racing in 1949, but can be traced back to 1925 with every race in consideration. And being motorcycle racing, it's a pain to actually edit this video together since old footage, especially from the 50s and 60s, is nearly non-existent from what I've been able to research. So if you're okay with me waffling for a while, have some modern Assen in the background. Originally being called the Van Drenthe circuit, I apologise for my abhorrent pronunciation for some of these Dutch names by the way, it became a semi-permanent circuit after it was previously held on a simple country roads between the towns of I'm not going to embarrass myself now that I think about it. The Van Drenthe circuit is what we're looking at in reference to the 1949 Motorcycle Grand Prix, as the TT Circuit Assen wasn't constructed until 1955, utilising a part of the original Van Drenthe circuit. I say only a part of the original circuit when you realise this track was on country road 16.536 kilometres long. Having this extended length was kind of a thing in general, all the way up until the mid-70s, I would say. Cars as well. Although it wasn't the very first motorcycle championship Grand Prix in history, it would prove to be the one with the most longevity, with the Isle of Man TT having the honour of the very first motorcycle Grand Prix event, followed by Bremgarten in Switzerland, and then we have the Netherlands. Just side note, could you imagine if the Isle of Man TT was still on the MotoGP calendar? It just wouldn't happen, would it? Just to note that when the TT did move to the more familiar facility post-1955, it is still extremely recognisable apart from the first sector, which originally added just under 2 miles to what is now a 2.8 mile circuit. This portion of the track was shortened in 1984 and then again for the 2006 race. The 2006 race would make the circuit for all intents and purposes what we recognise it as now, although the circuit between Strubben and up to the start-finish line has remained the same for the most part. It would hold 3 races in 1949, a 500cc class, which is now the MotoGP class, a 350cc class and a 125cc class. These aren't precisely Moto3 and Moto2, as the lower motorcycle classes would massively vary over the years in terms of engine sizes and who was actually allowed to compete where, with none of the constructors seen in this race still existing on the current Motorcycle Grand Prix grid. I'm willing to bet a lot of you have never even heard of some of these constructors' names. Another element of racing that was actually extremely common at this point in time were competitors racing in multiple categories in the same weekend. Seeing as Italian Nello Pagani competed in both the 500cc race and the 125cc race, winning both of them straight up, decent flex I guess, winning 2 of the most prestigious motorcycle Grand Prix at the same time in the same weekend, you'd also see the likes of this happen with Formula 1 in the early days, with drivers practicing in non-championship races with Formula 2 machinery in particular. And even still to this day in NASCAR, we see some of the Cup Series drivers opt to race in the Xfinity and the Truck Series. Leslie Graham notably would achieve what would eventually be a championship clinching second place at the 500cc race. With 6 rounds in total in 1949, only the 3 best results from each rider would actually count towards their championship total, with Leslie's best results being a first, and a second, that second being this one. He would also be the only rider to compete in all the 500cc races in 1949. Nello Pagani, as mentioned earlier, would take the 500cc win, his best results being a first, and a third. And yeah, you can gather that means he finishes a single point behind Graham at the end of the season, 30 against 29. The extraordinarily frustrating part for Pagani would be the fact that if all points were counted towards the championship, he would have convincingly beat Graham by 9 points, 40 to 31. In fact, third place in the championship would have also finished ahead of Graham with 32 points. This championship effect that Assen has can be seen all the way up to even last year, with the crash of Fabio Quartararo early in the race while trying to overtake Aleix Espargaro. It could be viewed as a turning point in the championship for Pecco Bagnaia after he was 91 points behind at the halfway mark in the season, to then end up winning the championship, in what, in my opinion, is the greatest championship comeback in motorsport history. I mean, I don't even think that's hyperbole either. So it certainly can be argued, even from the beginning of the Motorcycle World Championship, the Dutch TT has, and always will have, a significant impact on the MotoGP World Championship. Whether they're on the road course, pre-1955, or on the beloved Grand Prix circuit that we know today, there is just something about TT Circuit Assen that needs to be seen to be believed.